It is indeed my privilege and honor to introduce to this virtual floor this afternoon, Dr. Dionne Toombs. She has a very long bio, but I'll take this opportunity to go through most of it, especially for the sake of our students, because we want to reiterate our motto that is start here, go anywhere. And Dr. Toombs is a perfect example of that. Dr. Toombs is the director of the Office of the Chief Scientist, OCS, at USDA, where she provides leadership on a wide range of issues affecting science programs and science policy, both in agricultural research, education, and economics. Dr. Toombs is responsible for directing and coordinating the activities of the OCS to strengthen science and science leadership, improve national coordination, and enhance outreach and awareness. She's also responsible for providing scientific leadership and coordination to the White House, Office of Science and Technology Policy, National Science and Technology Council working groups across USDA and other federal agencies, as well as the agricultural community. As the director, she also manages the information OCS provides the Secretary of Agriculture and USDA science agencies, ensuring that science research and advice are held to the highest standards of intellectual rigor and scientific integrity. Dr. Toombs has been repeatedly featured as one of USDA's most impactful women scientists and recognized by the Secretary of Agriculture for outstanding leadership. Now, Dr. Toombs has over a decade of service with USDA, and she has significantly contributed to the USDA's agricultural research, education, and extension services, while in various leadership roles, including heading the Division of Nutrition at the National Institute of Food and Agriculture that we all know as NIFA. Prior to that, as the National Program Leader for NIFA's Food and Research Initiatives, or AFRI, leading large competitive grant programs to fund research in nutrition, food science, and technology. And prior to that, as the NPL at the Food Science and Nutrition at the former CSRES, USDA, now NIFA. For our students, listen carefully. She started USDA as a student intern at the ARS, USDA. And throughout her career, Dr. Toombs has been a phenomenal mentor, helping her colleagues, staff, and students maximize their potential, talents, and leadership skills. And always, always willing to champion the next generation of scientists, as she is doing today. She emphasizes the importance of relationship building, citing collaboration as a key to her success since starting at USDA as an intern. A little bit about Dr. Toombs' educational background. She received a PhD in nutritional sciences from Howard University. She earned her Master of Science in Food Science from none other than Alabama A&M University, and her bachelor's degree in biology from Bethune-Cookman University. Dr. Toombs not only works real hard as a STEM scientist, but also she enjoys spending time with family, doing Pilates and community service projects and golf. Fun. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Dionne Toombs to this virtual floor, who really epitomizes the AMU mantra, start here, go anywhere. Dr. Toombs, we welcome you back to the Bulldog country. Thank you for accepting our invitation, and now the virtual floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Verghese. It is such an honor, truly an honor. I know we've been trying for some time to get me back here, and we've had quite a few challenges. So I think, you know, in another way we can, although we don't like the pandemic, but because of this virtual platform, we have this opportunity where I'm able to join you guys virtually. So it's such an honor to be here to join you virtually, and especially on this occasion as far as we are recognizing Women's History Month. And yes, Mr. President, Dr. Walker was my professor. He does claim me, and I mean, and I'm not going to say Dr. Walker was just the roughest, but he was very stern. And because of that, I am where I am today. I have the values that I have today because he really pushed us to do our best. And Dr. Walker, I just want to thank you publicly again for doing that. And I will definitely keep everyone in mind as far as, you know, what we need at USDA. More to come, as if you guys have already been hearing some of you all as far as what we're doing at USDA and the types of support that we're going to need from our land-grant universities, especially our historically Black colleges and universities. So today what I want to do is share a little bit of background about myself, taking it way back and then bringing it up to current day. And so I'll share that piece. And then after that, I want to share a quick presentation with you about the Office of the Chief Scientist and what we do at the Office of the Chief Scientist. But I don't want to spend a lot of time on that because I do really want to give students an opportunity to ask questions because it's so important, you know, so students start thinking about those questions that you may have for me as far as, you know, what did I do? What was the process? What does it take? These are the things that you really need to know to, you know, wherever you may want to work, whether it's USDA or CDC or anywhere within the federal sector. So be ready. So taking it way back, I just want to talk about, you know, my love and exploration for science. It developed really young and quickly as a child. But in my small town, I'm from a small town, it's called Plant City, Florida. And there were very few girls who were interested in science and even fewer African-American girls. But I didn't let that stop me for, you know, in pursuing my goals. And I knew I wanted to explore and learn more about science. So I had to make some little sacrifices. And these little sacrifices were like participating in after-school programs related to science activities. And also when I was in middle school, while many of my friends spent their nights watching TV all night long, because that's what we did. I know this generation is a lot different, but all we had, you know, we had to watch TV all night. And honestly, TV used to just turn off at a certain time. I think it was like 1 a.m. in the morning, you could no longer watch TV. So we would stay up and watch TV until TV turned off. And sometimes we'd even talk on the phone because we had that phone that you guys may not really be familiar with, some of the younger folks, that plugged into the wall and it had an extremely long cord that you can take all over the house. So we would spend time, you know, from watching TV and talking on the phone. But for me, I had to go to bed early because I had to catch a 7:15 bus on Saturday mornings to attend classes at the University of South Florida in a Project Upward Bound program. I don't know if many of you all have heard of a program like that, but this is the program where students would, these are students who are, I would say pretty much students who are interested in pursuing college. And if you want to major in STEM as well, it was a program designed for those students. And we would have to go to classes on Saturdays and also go to a 6-week program in the summer. So I was a part of the Upward Bound program. So every Saturday morning I had to get up, go to the Upward Bound classes, and that's where my interest in biology was born. So as mentioned in my bio, my career at USDA began as a student intern for the Agriculture Research Service. And this is an agency within the Department of Agriculture, and we also call it ARS. Now, this is the in-house agency of research scientists. And so now 18 years later, I currently serve as the director of the Office of the Chief Scientist, also known as OCS. Now, in the government, we have a lot of acronyms. So I'm going to try to remember to spell out these acronyms. Now, leading OCS is ever-changing because of the breadth of work that we do. Now, OCS is the central office within the department where key science issues and needs are identified and where these science activities are coordinated and prioritized, and the actual scientific capacity is strategically aligned across the entire department. Now, we build partnerships within the scientific community, and my role requires a lot of planning and collaboration. So every day, I think about these emerging issues that have presented my office, that have been presented to my office rather, and how I will lead my team to enhance outreach and awareness of agriculture sciences. So I advise the USDA chief scientist and the Secretary of Agriculture. And as one of the top chief scientist advisors, I am responsible for science programs that are conducted in a wide variety of areas and disciplines. And so I actually hire experts in these particular areas. For example, it could be agriculture sciences and technology, animal health production and animal products, plant production and plant products, renewable energy, natural resources and environment, food safety, nutrition and health, and agriculture economics and rural communities. Now, you may ask, was it an easy road to travel to get here? Not really, because I encountered some personal challenges. For example, when I was an undergrad, I really didn't know what I wanted to do once I graduated. I thought I wanted to be a medical doctor. So I would always share with my friends, oh, well, yeah, I'll either be an MD or a PhD. But I mean, really not paying much attention to that, but just knowing, I guess I was just speaking it, that's what I wanted to do, one or the other. But that wanting to be a doctor, medical doctor, I didn't really pursue that because I didn't even take the MCAT. So it's like, really, what are you doing here? So I was about to graduate from undergrad with no real plan. And then my advisor told me about Alabama A&M University. He had a college roommate who worked at A&M as an 1890 liaison. And he later became a professor, this 1890s liaison, who ultimately left and joined USDA, and he's since now retired. But I did what they call what now I guess they would call a gap year, but it was a half gap year. And so while I was in my little small town of Plant City, Florida, they had a lot of phosphate mining there. And so it was a phosphate plant where I worked in the lab. And this type of work was like what we call swing shifts. So you had an AM shift to work for a week, you would work an afternoon shift for a week, and then you would work a midnight shift. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I'm really young, like I'm in my early 20s, and I'm like, okay, I really don't think this is the route for me. You know, I just didn't have much of a social life. So I quickly realized at that time that it wasn't for me. So I picked up the phone and called Dr. Thompson, and I was just like, yeah, I think I want to take up, you know, that offer to apply to A&M. If you can reach out to your friend and let me know what I needed to do. So I did just that. I was accepted to A&M, and I just could not wait to report. For me, that was my first time leaving Florida. I got a small little apartment by myself. I had to meet new people, and it was quite an experience because I had an amazing time here at A&M. I learned so much. And also one key component I would say is I developed very close friendships at A&M. To this day, I still have those friends that I've made at Alabama A&M. And actually some of us even work together at USDA, so amazing. So once again, I was faced with another challenge. It's time to graduate from Alabama A&M. And I knew I wanted to further my education, but where? What would I do? Where would I go? So I thought about different areas. Do I want to stay in food science, or do I want to pursue another area? And so I changed my mind twice on the direction I wanted to take. But despite those changes, I never worried about the next steps because I knew somehow that I would land in a great place. So after graduation, I attended Howard University, where I pursued my PhD in nutritional sciences. And at that point, while at Howard, I had the opportunity to volunteer at federal labs. So this is one thing, you know, being in the DC area, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, and I would just say particularly focusing on DC and Maryland, there are so many science agencies right there in DC. So you have the opportunity to either one, you know, try to apply for an internship or volunteer. And of course, it's not paid. But, you know, it didn't bother me at that time because I really wanted to learn. I really wanted to try to find a space where I could conduct my research, because in grad school at Howard, we had that opportunity to go out further beyond the department and work with those in the federal labs. And so I explored several opportunities, and where I actually landed, and I'll just take a step back because I did have a volunteer opportunity at the Food and Drug Administration. But that didn't last too long. So I had to, seek other opportunities. And this is when I finally landed at USDA Agricultural Research Service. So I had the opportunity at this time to work directly with a scientist on a project where I had a statistician at my disposal as well to help me analyze my data. So I could just say that time at ARS was just perfect for me. I even had one of the scientists to serve on my dissertation committee as well. So you're just afforded to so many different aspects of, science, and even in the field that you would like to study in ag, working at USDA. So this internship led me to a job shortly after graduation. So I graduated in 2003, and my advisor at that time, my boss as well, she saw this announcement at the Cooperative State Research, Education, and Extension Service. Now it's known as the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, also NIFA. So I simply applied for that job because I was faced again with another challenge. There were no permanent positions at USDA in the Agriculture Research Service in that office at that time. And so she was like, hey, I can keep you on some of this soft money, or here's this job you can try to apply for, a permanent job. So this was a job as a program specialist for food science and nutrition. I mean, really, how much better can that get? Food science and nutrition, and I get to have a job in it. I have a degree in food science. And so one thing I would say that you're faced with as well, because you'll look at, I had one of my best friends who was already a professor at University of Florida. And she was like, oh, don't go in lower than this number. And in the government, I will just say, if you're first starting, it's going to probably be a lowball number compared to where you want to start in the university. But honestly, as you grow in the government, your pay definitely and significantly increases. So I don't want anyone to be discouraged by that if you have that chance to come into the agency, because the most important thing is getting your foot in the door, because once you get your foot in the door, I mean, you can maximize on all your possibilities there. So I served as a program specialist for a couple of years. And then there was an opportunity to be a national program leader for community nutrition. So I applied for that job, and I served as a national program leader for nutrition, community nutrition. And then once we had the reorganization from the Cooperative State Research, Education, and Extension Service to the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, it provided more opportunities. And then I became a division director for nutrition. So today, as you've heard, I have degrees in biology, food science, and nutritional sciences. And I serve in a wonderful role as an agriculture science leader. So I was still able to overcome all of those challenges that I faced. And my advice to you would be, we have a lot of work to do, actually, to feed our growing global population. And we need bright students just like you to help discover new methods and technologies to actually make this happen. I would advise young women who want to pursue agriculture to work hard and to be confident. And when you're in a meeting, make sure that you know that you're adding value. Speak up, be heard, be included in the conversation. Find mentors and a support network, whether it's at your job, whether it's public or private or the academic community. And then also, I would like for you to be mindful that your community may not look like you. They may not even think like you, but just know that they will have your best interests in mind and will definitely assist you in accomplishing your goals. So expand your education as much as possible. And then next, I would encourage participation in programs, just like internships, fellowship opportunities, and even when you're at conferences, make sure you develop your abstract so you can present your research that you're working on. As you can see how significant internships have been for me, with my hands-on experience and relationship building. And, research has actually shown that about 85% of jobs are filled through networking. And there are ag jobs out there right now that are available for innovative and fresh talent. And so finally, I would like to advise the women and for you to mentor as well. Make sure you mentor our next generation of women in agriculture. And mentorship is the best way for women to build confidence, to coordinate their career paths, and develop relationships within the ag workforce. So working in the agriculture sciences means you can help people know that their food is safe, that you're helping farmers produce enough food to feed the world, and that you're a part of building a better economy that will be the foundation for our future. And so now what I would like to do, if I can do this smoothly, is transition to my slides here to talk a little bit about the Office of the Chief Scientist. And let me know if I'm in share mode. I think I am. Let's see, presentation.
We see your presentation, Dr.
Yes.
Toombs.
Okay, and it looks like it's at the end. So let me go back up at the beginning. All right, in the Office of the Chief Scientist, you heard a little bit about, we've already talked about my background. Am I in presentation mode or no?
Not yet.
Okay. Okay, now here we are.
Oh, there you go.
There we are. This is always a little challenging. I don't know, if someone does it perfectly, please let me know and teach me.
You need to get into the display.
Slideshow. Start slideshow at the beginning.
I think it goes into display settings, so.
Okay, what is showing now?
We see a slide.
The first slide.
Is it in presentation mode?
Yeah.
Go up to the top where display settings.
Okay, just
It's
a
settings
second.
at the top.
Right there on the display. So
Okay,
what is this? Did you push it?
It says swap presenter view and slideshow and then duplicate slideshow.
Oh,
Well, you should be able to do it.
Yeah,
Which
if
one?
you click duplicate, it'll go through and take away your notes, but you'll be able to go through and see full screen.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, we should be in full view, right?
No.
no, it's still not showing.
Oh, wow, it's showing on my end. Let's do this again. Let's see.
There you
go.
go.
Yeah, you got it.
Now it's good.
Oh, okay, maybe it was a time delay. I didn't do anything. It just popped. Okay, I'm trying to advance. Okay. All right, you've heard of my background, and I'm going to share a little bit about our staff organization, about the Office of the Chief Scientist, and some of the activities that we're working on as well. Okay, now looking at our staff organization, we have the Deputy Undersecretary. Now in this position, we normally will have our Undersecretary. So right now we're waiting for our Undersecretary to be confirmed by Senate, which can happen any day now, but there's a lot, as we know, that's going on in Congress. So it depends on where the nominee is in the queue, based on whether the full Senate vote will take place. But normally at the top, we have our Undersecretary, who is also the Chief Scientist, and that is the person that I report to. And that person who is the Undersecretary reports to the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, who then reports to the Secretary. Now in my office, we have a board. I'll talk more about the NARI board as well, and I'll spell all of that out in my next slide. But we have the NARI board, we have a communications office, and our communication office works directly with the undersecretary's office. So they support my office as well, but the primary support would be the communication for the research, education, and economics mission area, and that's where this office falls under. And this is also a part of communicating, ensuring that we communicate science, and they play a significant role in that. So one important thing, if you can draw your attention to the last part where it says senior advisors, these are congressionally mandated positions. And for, for you professors, this is a heads up as well. This opportunity is open for professors at universities, even those who may not be in universities, but in other maybe, industry and things of that nature. But typically we normally have people within the federal government and also professors at universities who apply to serve in these roles. So as I had mentioned earlier about the various topic areas. So for example, I would think that would probably be more pertinent to this group would be the Food Safety, Nutrition, and Health Senior Advisor. So currently there's someone serving in that role who is a staff member at USDA, the Food Safety and Inspection Service. So again, like I said, within these positions, I can, bring on professors at a minimum of what we really need is a minimum of 3 years to come on board and to work at USDA and to serve as a senior advisor. And of course, if you want any more information about that and how to get on at USDA in this role. It's temporary, of course, but it's a detail assignment. And none of these positions are permanent. Everyone who's in this position typically is on for like 3 years. And then after that 3 years, they rotate off and someone else who has an interest would be hired. So moving on, also, I think another area for students as you graduate and move forward, we have what we call these fellowship opportunities. And these are for more so the higher level, the PhD student, it could be a recent graduate. Oftentimes we work with other fellow programs, and when students have left, not students, but when fellows have left a program, they may join our USDA fellows program. So we hire fellows to work alongside the senior advisors and also to address various topics that we may be working on in the department as a whole. And the other pieces I'll explain as we go along as far as those roles and what we do in OCS. But in the office, I had mentioned earlier about we're the key area where we coordinate science across the entire department. So what happens in the office is that oftentimes we may have a hot topic that has come to the department and they may say, hey, REE, Research, Education, and Economics Mission Area, what are you working on in the area of climate change? What are you working on in the area of nutrition? And so what my office will do, we would assign that to a senior advisor who's already working, on a ground level within the department on these different activities. But what we'll ask them to do is to, compile all of this information of what we're doing in the area so that we can respond to that request that probably has come from the Secretary's office as well. And so we make sure also that this research that's supported by and the scientific advice that's provided to USDA, as well as the external stakeholders, that this is held to the highest standards of intellectual rigor and scientific integrity. So we're responsible for providing information. We're responsible for building partnerships. We also conduct strategic planning within our mission area, and that's within the Research, Education, and Extension mission area. And one important aspect, as well as what we do at OCS, is that we ensure that science is in the overall strategic plan for the USDA. So again, you've heard about the coordination and scientific integrity. And what else do we need in order to determine how well we're performing on the information that we're providing or the research that we're conducting? We have key performance indicators. And so my office handles the key performance indicators for the mission area as well. So within the department, as far as the cross-department coordination, we lead the USDA Science Council. Now, this is a council of members across the entire department where we would bring them together to discuss, and we meet quarterly, and we talk about various topics within USDA. And so what we'll do, sometimes we have to just ask, hey, any topics for this meeting, this quarterly meeting, and different people will offer different subjects. And this is notably though, where we need cross-departmental advice on this type of information. So within the council, we have several committees, and these committees, sometimes it may require us to go a little deeper to address certain things. So for example, when the pandemic first started, we were like, well, what have we done on research for COVID-19? We hadn't gotten together to talk about that. So what did we do? We developed a research on emerging infectious diseases committee. We knew that, okay, COVID-19, this will not be it. There's going to be some other emerging issues. So, that's why we just didn't call it COVID-19 committee. But the fact that it took this pandemic for us to come together and just determine, as a department, what are we doing? What research are we doing? How are we addressing it already? So this research committee, of course, is fairly new, 2 years old. And you heard a little bit about some of the work with the White House. And so with the White House Office of Science, Technology, and Policy, this is the science leg of the White House. And so we conduct work with that, and I'll explain a little bit more in the next slide. But we also work with the Foundation for Food and Agriculture, also known as FAR. And I mentioned the NARI earlier in the presentation, but this is the National Agriculture Research Extension, Education, and Economics Advisory Board. And we also coordinate activities around international science and technology. So going to the White House, what we do at the White House, our office manages, we have a list of participants, and this is on the science side of it, of course, but we have a list of those who participate on various White House committees and working groups. And within OSTP, there's a National Science Technology Council. So within this National Science Technology Council, this is where these various working groups will work on different activities across, again, the entire department. So the White House is not only working with USDA, they're working across the federal government. And so there are going to be reports that are generated from these various working groups, and these reports have to go through a departmental clearance process. And so with that, the reports will come through USDA to my office. And then again, I have to assign those to the science leaders, the science advisors, to work with the various agencies to ensure that all of the information in the report is accurate. And then we send it forward for clearance through our chief scientists. Now, the Foundation for Food and Agriculture, we work very closely with them, and this organization was authorized in the Farm Bill. So USDA works very closely with FAR. We have our secretary, who is an ex officio board member and delegates that authority to the undersecretary, but we also have the administrator of the Agriculture Research Service and also the NIFA director, who serves as ex officio board members. But where we touch this as far as OCS, they develop proposals. So just like NIFA, NSF, and every other grant funding agencies, this foundation develops requests for applications as well. And so they will submit their request for applications to OCS, and they just want to know, hey, is this a good project? Or is there any duplication here? Because we don't want to duplicate the research. We want to, come together so we fill in these gaps. And so that's one example of what we do, working very closely with FAR. And then we have our advisory board, and this is the NARI advisory board. So one thing in particular with the board is that they develop these relevancy and adequacy reports. And it could be around various topics. It could be around climate change and nutrition, or it could be plant health, animal health, whatever that hot topic is for the chief scientist, or maybe a group has come together within the department, or even if the secretary wants them to delve more into a topic to determine if we as USDA, are we addressing this area in climate change, and are we addressing these various activities and questions, and what are we doing in this area? So again, my office we work very closely with them and our senior advisor. For example, if there's a senior advisor for climate change, they would work on that relevancy and adequacy report for climate change. So they ask information like, what research are you doing? Are there any gaps? And they actually make recommendations. And so based on their recommendations, we are compliant to that. And so we can move forward in addressing the various research challenges and questions. And so as far as our international science and technology engagement, we all know how important that is in order to advance our interests and how we work together to further our opportunities, making sure that they're mutually beneficial. And how do we leverage our various resources? And so I'll just highlight one area here has been very important. Even from the president, and there was an announcement last year around the Agricultural Innovation Mission for Climate. And we work very closely with the State Department in bringing together various countries to address the various challenges in the area of climate. And so I'm not going to go into any detail because I still definitely want to make sure we have enough time for questions. But we're working on areas of antimicrobial resistance, looking at best practices in that area to help reduce the need for antibiotics. We're also our honeybee and pollinator research coordinator. This was a position that was mandated again in the Farm Bill. So we have a pollinator coordinator who will address, there are so many areas in the Farm Bill that they've asked us to address. And so some of those areas will include, pollinator status and trends, pests and pathogens, environmental stressors, just to name a few. And then another very important area is that when we're looking in under our topic area of renewable energy, natural resources, and environment, we bring together a group, this is called the Biomass Research and Development Board. And this is again, a departmental effort. And then how are we addressing those areas of bioproducts and looking at the bioeconomy and natural resources. And then nutrition, food safety and health, another hot topic. And we bring together the department to talk about some of these issues. Again, what's so important in the department is ensuring that there are no gaps in research. And of course, there are going to be the gaps, and that's why we have research. So we're addressing those gaps, but most importantly, ensuring that there's no duplication of efforts in that area. And scientific integrity that I've mentioned earlier, we definitely ensure that we promote this, that we have a culture of scientific integrity that is the norm for us, and that's how we operate. We do training, so there's a scientific integrity officer that's in my office, and we provide different training throughout the department. And we also ensure that the scientific communication is free from political interference. That is so most important. And we also handle dispute resolutions around scientific integrity. So if there is even a complaint from a grantee, our office addresses that, working very closely with the university as well. And so to stay connected to us, here's one area as well. And of course, you can reach me at any time by my email and phone number. Email, honestly, is the best way. We are transitioning at USDA right now as far as my office. And so I don't even know, honestly, if that phone number is functional at this very moment. So definitely email and we can set up some time to talk if you would like to talk. But at this time, I would just like to open the floor for questions, especially for the students. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Toombs. We appreciate you sharing so much of your journey and your ascendancy through the ranks of the USDA, and also providing us with insight into, the operations of your office and the scope of your responsibility. It's really a privilege to share this time with you. And it looks like we have a question from Jabari Hinton. Mr. Hinton?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Toombs, for coming to speak with us today. Really appreciate all the info and advice that you've given so far. My name is Jabari Hinton. I'm currently a master's student in the Department of Food and Animal Sciences under the advisement of Dr. Martha Verghese. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that department. But my question is, with the pandemic, I know that the food supply chain has been negatively impacted. So, we're seeing empty shelves and consumers are now, even now with the pandemic, more people were eating out anyway. But now since grocery store shelves are empty, people may choose that alternative to get something quick that may be, not as healthy. So my question is, how is the USDA working to resolve this or at least control this issue that we're having throughout the pandemic?
Well, we have our economic research service, and so they do a lot of studies in that area. That's how you know that these things are happening, is because of a lot of the work from our economists. And so once we have, we've analyzed that data, we've actually started talking with our researchers at ARS as well, and to talk to various groups throughout the whole department, where they can address, okay, well, what do we do? First of all, what do we do? How can we address this particular area? What are some of the steps that we can take? So is definitely, we're having discussions in reference to that. Do we have the answer? No, we don't have the answer to that yet, but we're working towards it. And so just continuously encouraging our researchers to discuss various ways on how that can be resolved. That's just where we are today. And good question, excellent question.
We have a couple of more questions. Mercedes Goodson, and followed by Dr. Gugia.
That's my advisor. I beat you, Dr. Patty.
Oh.
Hi. Hi, I have a brief question. So I'm a current PhD student and I'm graduating in May. And so I know a lot of programs and internships, they only allow students who are currently in school pursuing further degrees. But I don't consider myself going back to school anytime soon. So are these programs also offered to recent grads?
Yeah, we do have a recent grad program as well that you could, again, that's another one that I need to, get with HR to give you, I guess, the link. How do you get more information? Where do you apply? What's the time frame? Things of that nature. So I'll get that one too. Recent grad. Any other question around that?
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Patty, be our last question, and we want to do something else. Dr. Verghese will follow Dr. Patty. Okay.
Okay, so since not many questions in line with the general, so I would like to know, first of all, Dr. Toombs, are you 100 years old? Can you hear me? Can you all hear me?
I
Yes.
can hear you.
So yeah, I just wanted to know if you're 100 years old, because you switched so many jobs, and you started from base as an intern and you went so high in the position, and it takes a whole lot of effort and timeline, and you reached it so quickly. So it's so amazing, and serving as a role model for all of us, it's a commendable job, and we really appreciate your taking up this one. And so I see that you switched so many jobs. So how was it like, handling family, yet changing and switching the job? So what kind of, rift you had, and how did you handle it?
That is an excellent question too, because I didn't even mention that as far as a challenge when I talked about the challenges. But yeah, I mean, I started a family when I left Alabama A&M. And that's when I was really cross with, okay, we're all encouraged to go and, go into academia. It's just like a first natural choice. Go into academia or go into research. So for me, I was like, okay, I have these, these babies, and I want to make sure I spend time with my babies. And then I know if I'm in the lab, just the challenges and the support system that you need in order to be in the lab, take care of your children. And that's why that opportunity to go and to be a program specialist was like so important to me that I didn't even know. It's like, I knew about grants, and I knew I was on a grant, and that's how I was able to, complete, graduate school at A&M and at Howard University. But I didn't really truly understand the research, the administrative side of research rather. And so you can think beyond, okay, I'm going to go into academia, or I'm going to go, into a research lab. There is the administrative side of research. And so being a program specialist at NIFA, it gave me an opportunity to even meet, and I was at a wonderful agency because this is a grant funding agency. So I had the opportunity to actually meet people I quoted in my master's thesis, people that I quoted in my dissertation, because they were the folks doing the research in my area, of course, and they were serving on those panels. And so I had support. I mean, a support system, to answer your question, support system was very important. My in-laws, they kept the kids a lot, for me, for different things I had to get used to. I'm a country girl. I didn't know anything about riding a subway. It was scary to me moving to DC and getting on the subway. Just so much. And then the traffic was ridiculous. So you really trying to drive to school was a challenge, trying to find somewhere to park, getting tickets, $100 tickets, hundreds of dollars in tickets for parking in the wrong place, so it's super challenging. I've had, people that I've worked with where I've done little internships. They were like, oh gosh, how did you do it? But I'll just be honest, my support system was so important in this area. My mom would even come up to keep my children when I had to go out of town. Yeah. For me as well, to go present, information about the organization, things like that. So the support system made a big difference in my life and in my career. A great babysitter. I had an excellent babysitter. She was just like a mother to my children. So a babysitter that loves your kids makes a big difference too.
Thank you so much, Dr. Toombs. We appreciate you. There are actually additional questions, and we ask those that have the questions to please direct those to Dr. Toombs. She provided us with her information.
Oh, definitely, please, because there are some really good questions here that I see even in the chat.
There are.
Please, yeah, if someone can, if you guys can send me an email, we can set up a phone call. I mean, I do love mentoring, and anything I can do to help. I can't get to your question, of course, because of time, but definitely there's some really good questions in here.
Well, we look forward to inviting you back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think Dr. Verghese has an activity, and Dr. Walker, that they may want to invite you. Dr. Verghese, you want to step in right now?
Yes. We would like to, at this time, celebrate an outstanding AAMU alumnus who, as you all are made aware of, received her MS degree from the Department of Food and Animal Sciences today, Dr. Toombs, we celebrate you during Women's History Month as an outstanding female role model in STEM, and by awarding you the Outstanding Alumnus Award. This is being awarded for your significant achievements and contributions to the STEM profession and the scientific community. We are indeed proud of your achievements as and in my own words, fellow Bulldog. I'm really, really thankful to you for being here. And we are we really appreciate you very much taking the time. So we are right here. We will be mailing the plaque to you in this next week for sure, as soon as I get your physical address from your assistant. So Dr. Dionne Toombs, you're being awarded the Outstanding Alumnus Award from the Department of Food and Animal Sciences, as well as the Alabama A&M University Advanced Program. Thank you very much, Dr. Jones, for this opportunity to provide Dr. Toombs with our Outstanding Alumnus Award. Now,
You guys gonna make me cry for real, like, oh my gosh, I'm getting
You're making me cry because we share a special connection. We had the same advisor, so we know who we've been trained by. So thank you, Dr. Toombs. And also this afternoon, really brief, we would like to go ahead and also showcase our women in STEM. If Ms. Maynor, if you would quickly share the screen for us. Thank you. During the month of March, as Dr. Jones has mentioned, International Women's Month, the AAMU Advanced Team, led by our mentor and Dr. Jeanette Jones, we would like to recognize some of our standing STEM students in a showcase of excellence of women in STEM. These students who you see on the screen are being recognized from various STEM programs on campus. They were nominated by their respective department chairs and coordinators. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating our 2022 Women STEM Scholars in the Showcase of Excellence. They will be featured on the university website as well as through public relations. So please join me in giving them a virtual round of applause. In the interest of time, I will not be reading, but they are being scrolled through. So congratulations to each of our Women STEM Scholars, Alabama A&M University 2022. Thank you. Dr. Jones?
Okay, we're so pleased that we have students. We have a number of students on our campus at the university who are really excellent in the profession, excellent STEM students at this time, and we hope that they will follow in your path, a similar path in the disciplines that they have chosen. They're in STEM, in the science, technology, engineering, and math disciplines, and we have others. So we're going to take the time during the month of March to feature them on our university website. We really appreciate you coming, and we will get that information to you, and the president will be contacting you also. But he had to leave.
Thank you so much. One other person who helped me make it through, helping me with my research while I was at A&M in the lab, just doing those long hours with me, Louis Shackelford. If I did not mention him, hey,
there he is. He's right there. He has his mask on. Pull it down for a minute, Louis.
I see him.
Hi,
he was so instrumental in me, in my development as well in training. So I just wanted to say that to you too, Louis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You want it? Yeah. And that's right. Anybody else want to say any last minute comments? Because mentoring is so important. I was so happy. We have started a mentoring program, an official one. So it is not just we're mentoring students all the time, but we're doing junior faculty too. So
excellent.
I just want to thank you on behalf of the Advanced Partnership. Thank you all for attending this seminar. We appreciate your support, and we will have some additional presentations in April, but we appreciate your continued support of these efforts.